So this is the first time for me presenting on Monad, and as you may have heard, I'm not a native English speaker. I'm French, so I'll do my best to make it understandable by everyone. But if there's something that you don't get, do not hesitate to interrupt me or to say something in the chat. I'll have a look on the chat as well when I do my presentation. And so just tell me, I'll check out, I'll review it, and I'll tell it again. I'll find another way to make it understandable. So yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm a French content creator and I specialize in DeFi. I've started cryptocurrency in 2017, something like that. Haven't really dive deep this time, and I started again with a better focus and more time in 2021. So yeah, I started at the time there was a lot of stuff happening with NFTs. For example, the mint with Bored Ape Yacht Club. And yeah, for those that know me, yeah, my specialty is actually clicking buttons and sometimes getting rewarded for clicking the right buttons. Sometimes not. Shit happens, as you say. I've been into this DeFi stuff for about 3 years, and I've also been rogued once and another time been involved in a hack. And I think I have some experiences with security on crypto stuff. So today I'll try to share with you what I learned and what I'm using so you can keep your assets safe, which is always the point, as it is always cool to make money. But it's better if you can keep it, and even better if you do not give it away to hackers who like to steal money from good people. I believe you are good people and you don't want to give your money for free to hackers. So yeah, I hope you learned something from this presentation. So there will be different points, 5 talking points major, and between them we will have some zoom on interesting stuff. First, we will talk about different types of wallets, like hot wallets, cold wallets, and another one that's not really useful if you're someone like us trading crypto, having fun, and not a company, multisig. We will also talk about something that we've seen a lot recently, Twitter and Discord hacks, where hackers take ownership of a Twitter or Discord server and they start to spam links. So when you click on those links, there's a pop-up where you can sign a transaction, and sometimes you give an approval, sometimes you send all your crypto with this. Not a good idea. We'll also talk about domain hijacking, which is kind of the same stuff but on a different level. Approvals and how they work, because nobody understands this stuff and this is crazy. I've already explained it dozens of times, so I'll try to make it as clear as possible. And we will also talk about some types of hacks that really sucks and that, well, you can't really do anything to protect yourself from them, because it would mean that you do not have possession on certain DeFi protocols or in certain tokens. And generally, when this kind of stuff happen, well, it's already too late, there's no prevention. It would just mean that you keep everything on Ethereum, or whatever the gas token of the blockchain you are in is. So yeah, for a degenerate, that's not how it works, I guess. So let's go. It's time to defend your bags, from which they are going everywhere and they want everything. So let's defend your NATS token. First thing is the types of wallets that you are using. Basically, there are 2 types of wallets. First one, everyone knows them. It's hot wallets. MetaMask, which is something that newcomers do not use that much. And it's mostly for boomers like me. And then there's Rabi, that more people are using and are getting used to, because there's a lot more functionality that are pretty cool and that will be useful for safety that we will see later. So you can create a wallet with source services, or you can level up your security and go and use something that's called cold wallet. There are many more than the two that I'm sharing here. So it's Trezor and Ledger, but there are more than those. And yeah, there's a price tag attached to it. So it's not free, unlike hot wallets. But you will see that they can save you a lot of money, and that's why sometimes it's okay and it's even a good idea to pay the price for security. And no, I'm not a salesman for any of those companies. So basically, hot wallets, you just click download an extension and your wallet is ready. It's super easy to use and it's free. Perfect for small folios and first glimpses into the blockchain. So you want to make a few transactions, you want to have a few dollars here and there, and you want to interact with them very simply, let's say. Well, that's what you'll use. Unfortunately, there's a big drawbacks with this, is that if your computer catches a virus, well, you can get zeroed out. And that sucks. You don't want this to happen, no one wants this to happen. So this is the kind of problem you can run into. That's why it's interesting when you do not have that much crypto. So whatever happens, well, it happens and you lose 10, a few $100, okay? But it's not okay when you start to have more dollars into crypto and you don't want to lose them. So for this, we have something that's called cold wallets. For the smaller models, it's around $50 to $70. And this, if your computer catches a virus, well, nothing happens to your dollars because your seed phrase isn't on your computer, but it's in the device. And the device, it cannot share the, it's not programmed to share the seed phrase, so there's no risk with this. You can, there's also some misconception about this, that if you use a cold wallet, you can't do most of the stuff that you are doing with DeFi, airdrop hunting, or anything else. Well, you pretty much can do exactly the same. You just have to use it with MetaMask or Ruby. It's not that hard when you try to connect to a MetaMask or Ruby. It will ask you if you have a hardware wallet. You just say that you have one, you plug it in, you enter your PIN, and then everything works exactly the same, except that if your computer catches a virus, well, nothing happens to your dollars, which is a good thing. The big question is, when do you upgrade from a hot wallet to a cold wallet? And that's a big question. Everyone will have their own answer to it. For me, I believe that, let's say, imagine that everything you have into crypto on your main wallet, you lose it. If that hurts, well, I think it's time to upgrade your wallet. And if it doesn't hurt, you are okay with this. Because let's say you have a $5, $10, or $20 in crypto. Doesn't matter if you lose it, it's okay. Well, you don't need to change it. That's my point of view on this. I know some people will have hard numbers, like if you have $500 in crypto, well, it's time to upgrade. I don't think it works like this, and yeah, depending on who you are, what amount of money you make, and different parameters, you may not want to get an upgrade at the same amount of cryptos than someone else. So yeah, I don't think that it should work like this, but maybe you have different frameworks than me on this. Anyway, paste a certain amount of crypto, I believe this is a necessary thing, and you don't want to risk it this way. Okay. Another thing that's super important, if you are already using Ruby, you are already seeing it, but it's the ability to see what you are signing. Let's say you go onto a website, you want to make a swap. For example, you are on Jumper. And well, when you sign your transaction, most of the time you won't read it, And so you won't be able to see or to know exactly what happens when you sign. When you use something like Rabi or Pocket Universe, well, you will see exactly what happens when you sign your transaction. So, for example, if it's a normal transaction, here you will see that you are selling your NFT and you will get back some Ethereum in exchange. Perfect, that's normal. But here, for example, you can see that you are sending all your NFTs with this transaction. So it's not a good idea to sign it and you don't want to sign it. However, if you are only using a MetaMask, maybe MetaMask will not tell you that this is a bad transaction to sign. So if you click, you are zeroed out. And with something like Rabi or Pocket Universe, well, it tells you exactly what happens when before you sign the transaction. It runs a simulation, so you can prevent this type of attack. Which is why I believe it's really necessary to either use Rabi or Pocket Universe as an extension for your MetaMask, because it makes it so much easier to see what happens when you transact. And also, it's written in clear. There's no stuff like hexadecimal code where you have to ask ChatGPT about it and see, oh, what happens if I sign this transaction? No, it's everything is clear and you can see it just like this. Again, I'm not a salesman for those companies, but I believe those are really useful extensions and stuff you really need, especially if you're a clicker. Okay, it's time to get into hacks and what can actually happen. So this is something that we've seen a lot recently with even, it was Gagner that fell into this. So this is Twitter and Discord hacks. And basically, a hacker takes ownership of a Twitter account or a Discord account, and they can start sharing with it. So basically, they impersonate the official account and they start sharing some phishing links. It's something that's absolutely not new, and I found one from 1st April 2022, and it wasn't a fish. So yeah, it's something that's really old and that's still happening today. Basically, what happens is that they will share different links, and those aren't official links. You can see it here, for example, in this screenshot, and it's something that happened not a long time ago. It was the 18th October. It was when Eigenlayer Twitter was hacked, and you can see the website is relocation eigenfoundation.org. It's not the official website. And so if you click on this link, it will try to transact for you, and it will maybe ask for permissions, approval, or it will ask you to sign a transaction that will send all your assets to another wallet, for example. This is the kind of stuff that you should not do. And this is the kind of stuff that can be prevented if you use Rabi or Pocket Universe that will show you exactly what happens when you sign. And so you know that you shouldn't sign this transaction and should make a tweet that the Twitter account is compromised and that maybe they should do something to save it. Here's something else that you can find. It's not a Twitter hacked account. It's just someone that's impersonating, for example, here Scroll. And you can see with their handle that, well, it's not Scroll. Scroll doesn't have 2R and 3L. It's not them. Even if they gave us an L, but yeah, not 3L. Not 3L. And you can see it's a comment. It looks 100% legit because there's the same logo. There's also the golden check mark, but it's not legit. It's not from the official account, as you can see from their handle. Normally, this kind of stuff, if you are aware, you don't fall for it. But unfortunately, sometimes you are sleepy, drunk, lazy, purple, in a bad mood, dizzy, or even wrecked, and you aren't thinking clear, and maybe you can make a mistake. So that's why you don't do transactions when you are in safe states, because, well, that's not a good idea. That's never a good idea to make financial decisions when you aren't 100% okay. And also you use Rabi or Pocket Universe so that you can see when you do a transaction what happens and you are clear of danger. Again, I know this is not some fun stuff like trading meme coins or anything, but it's always good to know so you don't get zeroed out. Another type of hacks that have been prevalent recently, it's domain hijacking. Basically, what happens is that someone takes ownership of a domain, which is the website of a project, and they just replace a line where when you click on bridge, it doesn't bridge your asset, but actually it sends your assets to another address that's owned by the hacker. This is super hard to avoid because basically this website looks exactly the same. It has the same URL. The only thing that's different is that when you will try to sign a transaction, well, if you have Rabi or Pocket Universe on, it will tell you that, oh, if you sign this, you are sending all your NFTs to this address. You probably don't want to do this, so please don't sign this transaction. This is the kind of stuff that is really hard to see if you don't use these extensions. So that's why, again, I recommend to use them. To get some money when I shield them. Okay, next thing. And please listen here because this is really, really important. And I'm sure you already have some stuff, some approval that you should revoke. So this is really some important stuff. I was joking with everything before, but this is really important. And this is something that takes really 2 seconds to fix. But if you don't fix it, a lot of your dollars can be taken away by different types of hack. So please listen to this part. This is the part about approvals and how they work. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that understand this stuff, so I'll try to make it as simple as possible. This is the kind of stuff that you have to do when you try to interact with tokens on any EVM network that isn't gas tokens. So for example, your Ethereum, there's no permission for your Ethereum, nothing. But when you try to trade with USDC, for example, wrapped Ethereum or anything else, you will have to give a permission for a website or for not a website, but a smart contract to use your assets in order to do something, for example, to swap, to bridge, or to take a trade. You will always have to have an approval so the smart contract can use your assets. This is normal. There's nothing wrong with this. But the problem is that sometimes you have unlimited approvals. So let's see how this works. An approval is something that we call a spendable resource. So let's say you approve $5 node, you swap for $5 nodes, your approval has been spent, and so you have $0 node that is approved, and nobody can take your nodes from you because there's no more approval. This is something that you spend when you do a transaction that uses the amount of token you approved. This is how this works in practice. So let's say that you want, so here I'm on scroll. I'm not on scroll anymore, but let's say I'm on scroll. I have some stone on my wallet and I'd like to swap them, and I'll use, let's say I'll use Jumper. First transaction I have to make is define an approval. The approval should always be the amount of stone I want to trade. So let's say I want to trade my whole stack. I'll approve 0.23. I'll approve and I'll swap. My approval will be 0 because I spent my whole approval. This is good practice. On some decks, and sometimes you will see that there's an unlimited amount of tokens that you are approving. So here you see that's a huge number, and I never have this amount of stone on my wallet, and I never spend it. So if I approve this quantity, whenever I have some spare stone on my wallet, there's a rack with the smart contract that I'm giving approval to. This smart contract can take away all the stone that I have on my wallet. This is something that you can fix in one click. You just have to click here max, or make sure that you are only approving the amount of token that you want to swap right now. If you don't do this, you end up with something that looks like this on a revoke cache. And so you can see that this person has a lot of unlimited approvals, or even classic approvals, for tokens that they aren't using anymore. For example, here's a problem with this. This person has 0.35 AV wrapped Ethereum, if I'm not mistaken, and it has an unlimited approval for those. If the smart contract, the smart contract that's approved here gets hacked, the person can take ownership of everything that this person has. Here's how this works. It's a simple schema. So you see, this is your approve spender, which is a smart contract that has the power to take away from you the amount of the approval you gave. If someone can hack this smart contract, and it has already happened with a few important smart contracts, let's say Jumper, it already happened. It was only on some networks, but it already happened. Well, the hacker can use the approval you gave the smart contract you trust that was just hacked to take away from you everything that is under the amount of approval. So let's say you have an unlimited amount approved for this token. The hacker can take away the whole amount that you have of this token. And the hacker will eat good. He can steal your gold. Not something you want. So how can you prevent this? No, that's next slide. First, this sample. Let's say you have $10 NAD on your wallet, and you also have unlimited approval. If the contract gets hacked, the hacker can steal everything on your wallet, as everything is under unlimited approval. So you have 10 NAD on your wallet, the hacker can steal 10. If you have 20, the hacker can steal 20. Let's say you have $10 NAD, and you have an approval for 5 of those tokens. The contract gets hacked, the hacker can only steal 5 tokens, because that's the amount that you've approved. That's why it's always important to remove the approval or set it to 0 for tokens that you have on your wallet and that you aren't using right now with smart contracts, or even for tokens that you plan to have in the future, and that you already have approvals for. This is something that's really simple to do. You can go to a website that's called revoke.cash. On this website, you just have to click for each line revoke, and this will set the approval to zero. So the amount that you have cannot be stolen. This removed, maybe if you have bad hygiene for your wallet, you may have a lot of those approvals. So if you want to choose which one you have to remove, think of all the assets that you have. So if you never have a certain asset, you should still remove it, but it's okay if you do not remove the approval right now, because you do not have it on your wallet and you do not plan to have it on your wallet. So the hacker can only steal what's on your wallet. Don't have it on your wallet and it's approved. Well, don't risk anything, except if you buy this asset and the smart contract gets hacked. So it's only for the assets you have or you plan to have on your wallet. And it's something that you should repeat, say, every month. So you make sure that there's no ticking bomb on your wallet and you receive some tokens or anything. There's no risk with your wallet. If there's an approval on some assets, there's no problem with your wallet. It's just something that you have to revoke, and you can use your wallet. Normally, you don't have to change your wallet. It's not like if someone takes over your seed phrase and whatever you do with your wallet, it's over. Here, it's just an approval problem, and you have to revoke the approval. I hope I'm clear on this because it's not super easy to understand, and it took me quite some time to get it. Okay, so next slide. And this is the types of hacks that really sucks. The types of hacks you don't want to get into because you can't do a lot to prevent those. It's better if I give you a sample for this. So last week, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, something like that, there was a hack that involved the token Tapioca. The hacker found a way to mint a lot of tokens. So basically, he hacked the smart contract, and then he dumped everything on the market. What happened is that the token was trading at 144, and now it's at 2 cents. Right now, it's even under the cent. So everyone that was holding those tokens, correct, the tokens are basically worthless. For this project, a snapshot was taken before the hack happened, and people should get those tokens back, but we aren't sure about the value that we will get them back at. And yeah, I had some of those tokens, so that's why I'm looking into this. And unfortunately, that's something that you cannot anticipate. If something bad like this happen with a token you own, well, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it, except maybe just don't own the token. But if you degenerate a clicker or you want to have some exposition to some ecosystems, well, you are kinda obligated to own those tokens, so you can't really do anything about it. Another example was a hack from Phantom in 2023. The bridge was hacked, so it wasn't Phantom's bridge, it wasn't Phantom, but it was the bridge that had all the assets that were backing the assets on Phantom. So let's say you had USDC, Wrap Ethereum, or Wrap Bitcoin on Phantom. So the assets were backed by the equivalent value on Ethereum. And all those assets got hacked. So there was no more backing. So all the assets that were on Phantom, well, they became worthless overnight. Again, this is something that you really cannot anticipate. And when it happens, it just hurts. Maybe some of these projects have plans in the future, give back some money to the affected addresses. But unfortunately, most of the time, it just sucks and you can't do anything about it. So yeah, it's the type of situation where you just don't bet on the wrong horse. And unfortunately, there's not much that you can do. So, types of hack, I'm not saying that they never happen, but they are way rarer than the type of hacks that we saw earlier with Discord hacks, Twitter hacks, or approval problems. So yeah, just be aware that this can happen. And when you have funds on Pi, whatever the network, well, shit can happen. And unfortunately, we have to know that when you have funds there are risks associated. So here we go. And that's the end. So thank you for staying with me.